Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our topic for the lecture is report writing. We have already completed letter writing from unit number 2, technical writing. Let me share the screen. Just like letters, reports are also an important part of any organization or any workplace. They're also one of the formal communicative ways of maintaining documents in a workplace situation. So, what exactly is a report? A report is actually a description of an event. Remember, we have done technical description. Technical description is actually the description of a product or a process, whereas a report is actually a description of an event. It actually is a representation of something that has already happened. It is not only just a description, but it is also accompanied by analysis. It is also accompanied by analysis. A report is formal in nature and it is written for a specific purpose and a specific audience. Similar to the case of any technical document that is written. All technical documentations or documents that are written are formal in nature, are professional in nature, and they are written for a specific audience and with a specific purpose. Apart from just describing the event, a report should also include in-depth discussion of the topic. So minute details would be covered in the entire report. It would also include conclusions and recommendations wherever necessary. Please remember, when it is a technical report and they are asking for a recommendation, it means you are supposed to provide constructive recommendation, whether it is feedback or it is suggestion or it is a recommendation. The requirement is it being technical in nature, it being constructive in nature. We are not just supposed to tell the mistakes, this is wrong, that is wrong, this does not go well, that does not go well, right? In a workplace environment or workplace setup, you cannot just be telling what is wrong. You should be telling what could have been done to make things better. That is what we mean by constructive feedback. That is what we mean by constructive feedback or constructive recommendation. Why do we require constructive feedback or constructive recommendation here in a workplace scenario? Remember, workplaces are established to expand. You don't want to just close down your business or your workplace or your job after a few months or a few years. You want it to stay on for a longer duration of time. When I say longer duration of time, you want to improvise. Each time, every time, you want to improvise. You cannot be, yes, Kenil, you raised your hand.
Ma'am, Koos has been not added to the meeting, so you can.
Yeah, just a minute, let me see. And I think Kush is here now.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So when I say that you want to expand, it means you have to improvise. Let's say you want to go from one class to another. You want to step from one semester to another. What do? You can continuously improvise. You continuously update. So here when I say recommendations, it means that you have to be constructive. You have to be positive. You have to tell them what can be improved instead of just telling what went wrong. What are the objectives of a report? It would actually depend on the type of the report, what the objective of the report would be. Right? Let's say you have been doing project work, you have submitted project reports. So what does your project report do? It actually presents a record of the task that you have completed or you have accomplished. Now if you take up, let's say, any report that the doctor asks you to do, what does that report do? It actually would record an experiment, or would also try to analyze the situation and come to a conclusion based on the tests that have been run. Now if you have a report on the details of a new product, what would you have in that report? The objective there would be how your product differs from what is there in the market, how it is better than what is there in the market, and how it is a new revolution in that particular field. Next, when you have long-term goals, you need to maintain a report on, or you need to document schedules, timetables, and milestones that are achieved. When you have an inspection report, it is actually to document the current status, and the objective is how things are happening and how you can improvise. When you establish your organization or workplace or institute, there are certain policies and procedures you have put into practice. Now, these policies and procedures may need to be updated from time to time. They need to be updated from time to time. So what do you do in that case? To prepare a report. Okay, this was what was there. This policy was there. Now we have updated to policy number 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Next, when you have to present information to a large group of people, similar to a bank report, if you have an idea about it, a bank would send you an annual report, how much the bank has gained, how many things have been working, or what achievements have the bank made, being the best bank in the area, opening up a new branch, reaching to the remote areas of the state, etc. Right? So that would come in the annual report. That's when you have to present information to a large number of people. I suppose if somebody has unmuted themselves, kindly mute. Yes, we have a question. Bhumi? And then you have recommendatory reports to recommend actions to be taken to solve certain problems. So we have a reconnecting question over here. Are reports informal in nature? You can type your answers in the chat box. Are reports informal in nature? Is the statement true or false? Very good, Priyanka. Excellent. Correct answer. We truly have mentioned in the very beginning that reports or any other technical documentation that you do is always highly formal, highly professional in nature. So the statement is incorrect when we say that reports are informal. Remember, they are always formal in nature. And what are the characteristics of a good report? How can you say that this report is good? You can say that the report is good if the report is reader friendly. Remember, whatever has been written and documented in case of an organization, it is actually written for some audience, some specific people. Now, if those people cannot understand what is written in the report, it would be a waste of time, energy, and resources. It would be a waste of time, energy, and resources. So that is why the very first requirement of any report should be that the report is user friendly, reader friendly. I'll give you a very simple example. Most of us have heard the name of PowerPoint. Not only have we heard the name PowerPoint, but also we have used it. Most of us have used it. PowerPoint helps you to make your presentation better, or PowerPoint helps you to arrange information better. But is PowerPoint the only way of making a presentation? No. PowerPoint is not the only way or method of making a presentation. What else do we have then? Do we have an option, ma'am? Most of us have already done things only on PowerPoint. Do we have an option over here? Yes, we do. We do have an option over here. But why do we not, or how come we do not know about the option, or we have not used the option? The answer is very simple. PowerPoint is more user friendly. PowerPoint is user friendly. Other stuff or other ways of doing presentations are not that user friendly as compared to PowerPoint. Hence, most of us, when we listen to the word presentation, when somebody says presentation, we would immediately think of a PowerPoint. We would immediately think of a PowerPoint. Similarly, your report should be reader friendly. How do I make it reader friendly? There are certain guidelines. These are certain guidelines or certain questions that can guide us to make our report reader friendly. So first thing that we should know is who is going to read the report? Who is going to read the report? So who's the person who's going to read it? Is it going to be an engineer, a doctor, a common man, a teacher, a professor, etc.? Next, that the thing that we should know is what do they need to know? You do not have to inform everybody about everything. Let's say I'll give you a very simple example. The advertisements that you see, sometimes they say we have stunning reports. Do they exactly tell you on whom they did the experiment and how did they come to the report that they have. We have seen stunning reports of salt on teeth when you have a toothpaste brand which is advertising about using a toothpaste with salt in it. Have they ever told you on whom did they experiment? No, that's not required right now. What you require to know at that particular time or in that particular moment, you are required to know that salt is good for teeth. That's it. So what does the audience need to know so that you can tailor it in that way? By tailoring, I mean you can cut and paste, you can adjust the information according to the need of the audience. Remember, the audience are at the center. The audience are at the center in terms of preparing a presentation, in terms of preparing a report. Sorry. So what do I need to find out? I need to find out these things. Next, I need to know why does the audience need to know these details? Are there are prospective customers? Are they the business investors? Are they the persons who will help us solve problems that we are facing at a certain extent or at a certain point in our report according to it? Right. So why do they need to know? What is their role after they know the things that are happening or things that are being told in the report? Right. Next, what level of details do they need to know? Remember, I told you not every audience is supposed to know each and every detail. Moreover, it's not necessary to tell from the beginning. Let's say, seeing the current scenario, people are after making the vaccine for the disease or the virus. Do they tell you today we went to the Sahara Desert to get a very unique herb? No, they just tell you it's in progress. And we might be having the vaccine within a few months' time or a few weeks' time. Right? So when do they need to know? They need to know when you are nearing the success of your work. So these questions act as guidelines to help us make the report more reader friendly. You should always know why you are writing the report because that would help you define many things. The structure of the report depends on the purpose. The structure of the report would depend on the purpose. Why are you doing it? Why are you writing the report? Would help you further structurize or further make your report better. A good report should always present facts and figures because many important decisions would be taken on the basis of the report that you submit. Let's say I say that this new coronavirus vaccine, I have been able to make it successfully for my own profit. Now, this vaccine has a very important role to play. And if I don't tell the truth, it would be putting the lives of many people in grave danger. That is why your report, whatever report you are preparing, your report should have facts. Your report should not be telling something which is not possible because it might be a risk to a larger group of people. Right? So we should see to it that our report contains factual information. Your report should be reliable and relevant to the point. Right now, I cannot say I made a discovery to eradicate polio, say for example. that discovery has already been made, relevant to the current times, and also reliable to the current scenarios. Next, your report should be brief, to the point. Remember, all documentations that we do in terms of business and workplace settings, workplace environments, should be brief, to the point, because we do not require unnecessary information. We require something which is to the point. We want to come to straight answers. We don't require things to go round and round the bush. You should not be beating the bush when you are writing things for a workplace scenario or workplace situation. They are not appreciated in any form. The usage of the language should be adequate. That is, important terms explained, trying to keep it more simple and not technical, because sometimes the reports might not be read by people who are into the field. They might be read and reviewed by people who are not of the field. Right? So you should keep it simple. You should keep the language adequate. The report should be self-explanatory. Moreover, just like the letter, it should be complete, it should be precise, and it should be to the point. Complete, precise, and to the point. You should not be using any acronyms or abbreviations. Apart from being complete, it should also be correct in terms of grammar, spelling, and punctuations as well. Remember, all documentation which is related to workplace scenarios or workplace situations have a particular structure that they follow. Because it's a report, as I said, we don't require a burden of unnecessary information. So what can we do? We can make use of points and subpoints or bulleted points to make the report look better and would be readable by the people. We should also use headings so that information can be located easily on the report. If some people have to look at the report and have to find out some specific information, when you have headings, it is easier to find out that specific information. So there are two types of reports. One, descriptive reports, and two, analytical reports. Descriptive reports actually just describe an event and then that's it. You don't have to do anything further with it. Whereas an analytical report would not only describe the event but would also discuss and analyze the situation. Let me give you an example. There are many events that keep on happening around the city. If you take the example of a newspaper, in the newspaper you will say that the Rajkot Municipal Corporation had announced or had organized a flower show. It was a 3 days event. This many people took part. This many things happened. These were the variety of flowers that were displayed, etc., etc. That's just a descriptive report. You don't have to do anything. There's not supposed to be a problem about it. Now, the same thing, if you have to turn it into an analytical report. Now, the government is asking for a report to improvise. The next time they do a flower show, what improvisations can they bring? Or how they can make the same event better than the last time. That moment, that is the moment where you require an analysis. Okay, this time there were less number of people in the security, so there were many problems pertaining to controlling the traffic, etc. Next time we have to make sure that the number of security men should be more. So that's an analysis of the same event. That's an analysis of the same event that took place. Then there are 4 different formats. Please mark this as one of the important questions for the exam point of view. There are 4 different formats of writing a report. But remember, for our case, when we are supposed to write a report, when we are asked to write a report, we are supposed to either use the memo format or the letter format. These are the 2 formats in which we are supposed to practically write a report if asked in the exam. Why? Manuscript format and the reprint format are actually big reports. They're not short reports, they are long reports. So long reports, as a part of the examination, we are not being asked to write long reports, we'll be asked to write short reports. So memo or the memorandum format or letter in the letter format are the types that we are supposed to use. A manuscript format, it is the most common used format for reports. It may vary from few pages to hundreds of pages. As I said, the number of pages would matter. A memo format is actually written on the letterhead of the organization. It is written on the letterhead of the organization. And it is a report of hardly 2 pages, not more. Similarly, letters are the format that you use when you have to send your report outside your organization or workplace. At such times, you use the letter format. Letter format is also just 2 pages, not more. Reprinted format is used when you have information that you are publishing on a routine basis. That is the reports that bigger companies have: quarterly reports, half yearly report, annual report, etc. So dash kind of a report is written on the letterhead of the organization. Letter or memo? This is the reconnecting question we have. Excellent. You remember well. Memo is the format in which it is written on the letterhead. Remember, the full form of memo is memorandum. Wherever I give you such reminders, kindly make note of it. We're trying to prepare for our exams in two ways. One, the regular way, that is, in case we have a written exam and we have a written exam and we have to write the answers, so that's fine. But in case we have an MCQ coming up, an MCQ test or an MCQ exam, so thus such questions will help you there. So somebody can ask, what is the full form of memo? It is called memorandum. You can see over here, I've already mentioned in the PPT as well, memo or memorandum. Whatever is written in bracket as the full form, mark it as an important question from the perspective of an MCQ being asked in the exam. It's absolutely correct. A memo a report in the memo format is written on the letterhead of the organization. So we are going to follow these two formats as I have mentioned. Letter format, it would be simply like the letters that we have learned, everything aligned to the left of the margin, to the margin side, and that's how you work forward. Now this is actually a sample letter of a report format, and then we have a sample letter of the memo format. So you include these many things. The title section, which would include the name of the person who is writing the report, the date of the report. Remember, the date to be written not in digits, but full dates to be written wherever it is a technical documentation that's happening. Then you have the summary. Summary is actually like a precise, concise version of your entire report. It would include all the major points and the recommendations. At times people do not have the time to read the entire report, so this is where the summary plays a big role, and the person who wants to have an idea about the report can read the summary. Then you need to have the introduction on the very first page of your report. You need to tell what is the report all about, why are we writing it, etc. It also is an explanation of how information is arranged in the report. Then you have the main body. This is the main part or the portion of the report. This is actually the part where you have to draft and tell the actual problems that are happening. Here the information is arranged in order of importance. So the first very important information coming first, and then so on and so forth. Right? According to the priority or the importance, you will arrange the information in the main body of the report. Then you have a conclusion. Conclusion should not have technical words. You should avoid the usage of technical words or technical terminologies in the conclusion part. Moreover, you should stop yourself from introducing any new idea in the conclusion portion of a report. Conclusion means you are bringing things to an end. So in the end, you cannot have something new coming up. That's why remember not to introduce a new idea in the conclusion portion. Then this is also a very important part or the crux of your report, the recommendation, the places or the ways in which you can improvise. So this again, you have to put in the order of priority, what needs to be done first. This also has to be in the order of the priority, that is what needs to be done first. You cannot have recommendations moving here and there. At times there are certain things which are important, but if they can or if they are delayed, it does not do any harm. In case they are delayed, it does not do any harm. Whereas certain things or certain actions should be done immediately. Otherwise, they could be harmful in nature. So seeing that, you are supposed to arrange your recommendations. Appendices, now, as I said, you are not supposed to use technical words. But certain reports might require the use of technical terminologies and technical things. So in that case, what can you do? You cannot include, but you have to include. So this is the place where you'll include all your technical information. This is actually a place in the report or a part in the report which is meant for the experts of that particular field. Whatever information you put over here, whatever information that you place over here in the appendices should be supporting material to your conclusion. Materials that conclude that, okay, yes, we need to do this changes. We need to make this change, right? So why did you want to make this change? So that you can show over here by giving supporting details or supporting materials. So we have a reconnecting question with us. The first page of the report needs to have an introduction. Is the statement true or false? It can be either true or false. If I see the arrow correctly, you've put it in between true and false. Thank you, Priyanka. The answer that you have given is absolutely correct. The statement is true. So this was the question that has been asked in GTU. With this, the report comes to an end, report writing, that learning part. I would request you to quickly note down this question. Remember, this syllabus was introduced in the year 2019. That is why we have only one question paper to refer to. That is the question paper that was made for the winter examination 2019. That is in November 2019. So this is the question that was asked in that particular exam. Quickly note down the question. You are actually supposed to draft a report, or you have to draft an answer for this question. Just let me know when you have finished noting the question so we can move ahead. Have we finished noting the question? Actually, this is an yes and no question. Have you finished noting the question? Excellent. Thank you for answering. You're supposed to actually draft a report and send it to me. Do we have any questions or queries for report writing? Fine, we don't have any queries, so we'll move on to the ritual of our quiz. I'll share the link of the quiz. in the chat box? So that's the quiz link. You can start attempting your quiz for this session now. Very good. I can see 10 of you have already submitted the quiz. We'll wait a few minutes for the others to complete the quiz. I can see most of you have completed your quiz. In case you are facing troubles in attempting the quiz, kindly check that you have logged in with your Marwari email ID, because these quizzes have been created for Marwari students. So if you access it through some other email ID, you will not be able to access the quiz, right? So in case you are not able to do it, you may kindly complete the quiz by 2:30. So we'll be taking the attendance now. So attendance, enrollment number 18 series 14,
Yes, ma'am.
19 series 1, 2,
Yes, ma'am.
3,
Yes, ma'am.
4,
Yes, ma'am.
5,
Yes, ma'am.
enrollment number 5.
Ma'am, his speaker is not working. Veera
Okay.
Sangvi.
6,
Present.
7,
Yes, ma'am.
8, 9,
Yes, ma'am.
10,
Yes, ma'am.
11,
Sorry for that.
Yes, ma'am.
12, 13, 14,
Yes, ma'am.
15, 16,
Present.
17,
Yes, ma'am. 17.
18,
Yes, ma'am.
19, 21, 22, and 23.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll
Yes,
call
ma'am.
out the absent numbers if you have missed. Enrollment number 1, and 19. These are the two people who are absent for today. Fine. So you need to draft a report and send an email. You already have my email ID. You can work on it. So thank you, class. Have a nice day.
Ma'am,
Yes.
today's question we have to upload it to the email.
Yes, you have to send an email by next week. Okay.
Or next week. Okay, ma'am. Okay.
By next week. So today
Thank
is
you, ma'am.
Thursday. By next Thursday. Okay. Thank you. Yes,
Oh,
Bhavik.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So I hope the queries are clear. You can always connect to me via email or on the phone if you still have doubts. Fine. Thank you, class. Have a nice day.
Okay.